Hello and welcome to Walking the Earth podcast, a podcast about the backpacking experience. Check our new website out, WTEpodcast.com. I'm Justin Castle, calling in from New York, New York.
And I'm Mike Margulies, calling in today from Koh Phangan, Thailand. And our guest today is Becky Crouch, calling in from New Zealand. And Becky runs a blog and a soon-to-launch podcast of her own. Her blog's the Lifestyle Ninja blog. And Becky, feel free to jump in here. Basically, from what I've gathered talking to you, your blog is about basically starting one of these lifestyle businesses that you can run online, and in general, just traveling or doing whatever change it is you want to do in your life to get what you want.
Yeah, hey guys, that's exactly right, Mike. Just it's about doing what you want to do with your life and just really not giving a damn. Just doing something amazing that can support you while you're out there doing what you want.
Yeah,
right.
Where did the idea originate? You know,
I guess like about last year, about a year ago, I kind of 3 years ago I started my first company. And it was it's like a giant beanbag company. I still own it. I'm thinking about closing it down when I go overseas. But I flew to China and was like, hey, I can do whatever I want. This is great. I flew to China. I found a supplier. I bought these beanbags to New Zealand. I started distributing them. And I kind of just thought, this is great. Started a SEO company and kind of got into the online stuff. And it kind of just, I thought, wow, why isn't everyone doing this? You can do whatever you want with your life and just like create whatever you want. So why are people unhappy in their jobs? And that's sort of how it came about.
I gotcha.
So you, from your own personal success at doing these things, is kind of just like you want to help others do it, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's great actually. So what your blog and I assume your podcast also will be about is kind of what I'm trying to do, essentially, what I've done to an extent already, and what I'm still trying to work on and doing. It's, just living. It's that lifestyle thing, not restraining your life to what you think you have to do, but really opening yourself up to the possibilities, the infinite possibilities of using your own creative potential, and living where and how you'd like to live.
Yeah, exactly. Ramit Sethi actually has, he calls them invisible scripts. And that's great that you said, not like conforming to what you think you should be doing or what people tell you should be doing. There's a lot of scripts that we have in our lives that are like, I have to go to college, or I have to buy a house, or I have to get married, or all of that stuff, like those things that we kind of just think that they have to happen. And they don't. You can do whatever you want to do, and you should do whatever makes you happy instead of worrying about what other people will think.
Yeah,
exactly. And so for people like you and I, and for a lot of people, it does involve traveling and that kind of thing. Although, like we were talking about before the show, is also not necessarily that. I mean, it's really what's more important is just doing the thing that is your thing. Like, what are you following your passion? And so Justin, for you, it was moving to New York,
right,
to pursue comedy.
Exactly. And I think that's all. I think the three of us have that in common. I think the three of us, talking right before the show, we all are the kind of people who seek out what we want in life. For you, Becky, you've expressed that you've worked for other people. On your website, you specifically say, if I can quote this is exactly what you say. I worked a few regular jobs as I went. I got tired of working for other people and making them money. So you started your own business at 26 and haven't looked back. That's a paraphrase of what you have on your website. I think that Mike and myself are very similar in that, I wanted to move to New York and start studying comedy. So I did it. Mike wanted to quit his job. He wanted to go travel the world, and he did it. And now you've been doing this for a while. You're like a veteran compared to us. We're like peons.
We're Padawan learners.
That makes me feel old, but whatever.
Don't feel old.
I just turned 30. It's terrifying.
Oh, congrats.
Oh, that's not so old.
We're right behind you.
Cool.
Yeah. So now you've actually created and written your own guide for those of you out there who are interested in living this kind of lifestyle and trying to get into, being your own self-sustaining, being an entrepreneur is a better phrase for it. Being an entrepreneur, taking charge of your life and not relying on other people. And Becky, what are the kinds of things that you're doing? Obviously, you've got the website. What are some easy things and examples that you can tell the listeners for, things that they can do to start living their own self-sustaining lifestyle?
Yeah, great question. So the PDF that I give away kind of talks about a few things. One of the things I talk about is like business ideas. Mm-hmm. So one of the things you want to do is just start thinking about, if you haven't already, like the kind of niche and the kind of audience that you relate to. Like I think starting a business online and working online, there's so much information. It can be really overwhelming. And one of the things I talk about is how you can sort of just choose your audience and decide and you don't have to be stuck with it or anything, but just start thinking about that and how you would help them solve their problem.
Right.
So that's something that I would start with. And that's not necessarily the only way to do it. I give a few other examples of one thing I did. I don't know if you saw it on the website, but I started a business in 14 days as an experiment.
Huh.
To see how quickly I could make $100.
Really?
Really? Did it work?
It worked really well. So what I did was there's a post about it. I'll send it to you guys. It's I pretty much just emailed a bunch of companies, like SEO companies, who I knew, because I know SEO
just search
companies,
engine optimization for folks who don't know immediately.
Yeah. So they need content writers because search engine optimization. Just one of the things it requires is content, and so often it's quite generic content. And I had read quite a lot about people being SEO writers, and I'm not really a writer. I didn't really have that much experience or anything, but I could do like a basic 500 word article about whatever the topic is. So I just emailed a bunch of companies. I think I emailed 20 companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I got like 4 emails back, which is pretty good. I think quite a good conversion, and some of them needed writers. So I went to Odesk and hired some writers. And
Odesk, what's Odesk?
Odesk is like an outsourcing platform. You can hire people on there for really cheap, and you get what you pay for generally. So you have to be pretty careful. But I did manage to get, I had to do quite a lot of vetting, but I did get a couple of good writers. And then sort of passed the articles onto them, and I was making kind of $10 for every article that they wrote and sending it back to the people who had emailed me back. So that worked quite well for a couple of months. That was, I think, in January I did that as an experiment.
Right. So so basically, if I'm understanding it right, you kind of like approached companies and said to them, "Hey, do you need help with search engine optimization? Do you need some kind of like guide, some article guide kind of thing for it?" Is that the idea?
Well, they need, they do blogs. So I'm not explaining this very well, but they do blogs for their clients, because they'll be like an SEO agency. And so they'll do blogs for their clients, and they require like 500 word articles that are just about a certain topic. So for example, I wrote an article on hotels in Melbourne. And so I just kind of Googled it and then came up with a few paragraphs about it and sent it off. And I think I made like $20 or $25 per article, and I got someone to write it for $5 or $10 and then sent it on. Now, I don't want to go into this too much because I have the whole post on it, but as an example of something that you can do really quickly if you're just looking to make a quick few dollars and start yourself off, so you can, if you want to leave your job or whatever, you can do this stuff pretty quickly. And what I'm saying is that although there's a lot of information out there and it can be really overwhelming, one of the things I've tried to offer with my website is to offer like really strategic and easy to follow instructions and blueprints of how to get started when there's so much information.
Right.
Huh.
You know what I really like about this, and we talked a bit about this earlier before we recorded the episode, is like you said just now, you weren't necessarily like an expert in search engine optimization, right? But you have the attitude you have, I think, is what's maybe the biggest thing is you have this attitude that you're confident in yourself. I can figure out how to do this thing. And
Right.
so you sit out and you know whatever you have, you know a little bit about a lot of things perhaps. And so whatever area it is, you know that you can find a way to get it done. So you seek out the business, and then you can find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like, yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm an expert in is not being an expert. So
That is a quote right there. That is a quote.
It's an important thing, though. You're the connector, right?
yeah, yeah. I just say yes to things. I usually, or I say, I'll look into that probably, and then I sort of go and work it out and see how much it'll cost and just kind of the basics of how to do it, or find someone else who is, and then I put I charge a little bit more than that person, and then hire that person to do it, or just figure out how to do it and just charge a little bit more money so that it's worth my time to bring the two together.
I get it. You're good at getting things done. That's what you're good at. You know how to get things done, and you could do anything you want. So seriously, think about it. So if you're willing to be open to, you said something very interesting earlier. You mentioned that it's a little bit of a struggle day to day because you don't know exactly where the income is going to be coming from when you're all by yourself, starting your own thing and constantly looking for new entrepreneurial opportunities. But the thing you have is you're willing to try anything. If you go up to a company and say, "Hey, what do you need help with?" You know a little bit about SEO, you can talk to them intelligently about it, but you know that you can find help to get to accomplish the goal. I think that's a very good skill that you have to have if you're going to go into something like this. You got to be willing to go with the punches and be risk. You got to take some risks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Go ahead.
yeah, I would characterize it as kind of like it's just applied creativity. So many people have maybe some idea, but they'll let themselves be held back because they think, oh, but I don't know how to do that, and let the fact that you don't know how to do something stop you, when that should never stop you. Just because you don't know how to do something, just to have faith in yourself that you can figure out how to do it, and apply your creative skills and the information of the world. Now, in this day and age, with Google and the internet, like everything's at our disposal. So any person can figure out how to do anything you want to do. It's just that decision, right? The way I take it is like, it's the decision in your own mind. I'm going to use this world as my canvas, and I'm going to create something, and I'll do whatever it takes, whatever research it takes, find the people that have the skills that I don't have, and bring these elements together to create.
Exactly. And the cool thing about what I've done up to now is that I've pretty much been paid to learn. Like I've trained myself so much in like a huge range of things. I can pretty much provide value on any level in like online marketing. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I'm a pro at any of it. I'm not. I just have some knowledge in all of it. And for people who don't have any knowledge, I'm really helpful because I can give like a background or like a rundown on just about anything. So yeah, having been paid to do all this training puts me in a really cool place, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You're very pliable. I don't know if that's the right word. You're very flexible.
Okay.
You're very
adaptable.
Flexible.
Yeah.
Adaptable. Yeah. Not pliable. I don't know. I'm trying.
Well, it's just it is kind of that, right? It's just creativity. It's the creativity. It's just a lot of it's just the confidence that you can, and whether you believe you can or you can't. I don't know whose quote this is, but whether you believe you can or you can't, it is true.
Right. You're right. I don't think I can do this. All right. Well, nope.
That's true.
You can't do it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think so many people, I think it's just the fear of not being sure. They're so unsure about the outcomes. Like every week to week, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent necessarily. I've had some really good months, where I've been like, yeah, this is it. I'm living the dream. And I've had some weeks where I pay my rent late and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Right.
But I've never ever thought about going back. Like never. It's like a rush.
Yeah.
It's kind of like getting off the stage after doing a stand-up
That,
show and just being like, oh my God, I can't believe like I paid my rent again. This is amazing. Like, how did I manage that? Last week I had no prospects. I actually got a call right before this, but right before I jumped on the call with you, I was wondering about my rent, and I got a call sent from an old customer who wanted another website. So I'm set for the next week. So it's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
bam.
Yeah.
I think the lifestyle is addictive. Just being the master of your own ship, maybe
Yeah.
is the thing for me. That's what has been so appealing. Is I work just as hard as I always did, but it's
Yeah.
on things that are for me. I am my own master at this point, and it's like
Right.
that's a feeling that I at this point could never give up again. And and it's not to say it's necessarily for everybody, because there is that. What I think I'm trying to do with this show in some way, some of the same things that you're looking to do. Like, I want to, for the people that have this similar aspiration, kind of introduce them to people like you and show like, hey, look, here's options for your life.
Mm-hmm.
And different people might pick from a different guest, a different little thing that speaks to them.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not to say like, everyone needs to quit their job and go backpacking. For people who are listeners that want to do that, if you feel like you want to, absolutely do it. But no, if you're not, then don't. But the more important message overall is it's just follow your personal passion.
Yes.
Whatever that thing is. Like,
Right.
don't let anything stop you from pursuing your passion.
I think that's what our podcast has turned into. I think that's
I
what
think
it
that
is.
is what it ultimately is about, right?
Do what you
It's
want to
like-
do. Don't get stuck somewhere doing something you don't
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah, and it's like if you're doing the job you hate, and if you really do want to go backpacking and travel, and you're only not doing it out of some fear, or for all the people that were like, oh, I wish I could do that. It's like, well, you can do it. Don't sit there and say, I wish I could do that. Go and do it, whatever that thing is, and whether it is this backpacking thing, or it's going to
Right.
learn improv comedy in New York, or whatever it is.
There's a way. You can find a way, just like you, Becky. You can find a way. Now, now, Becky, on the same kind of subject. So somebody who's seeking, okay, I don't know if you just woke up one day and said, "Holy shit, I want to work for myself." I don't know what was the process to get to that point where you said, "I don't want to do this." Like, what pushed you over the edge? Can I ask that?
Good question.
Well, I think it was pretty gradual. I was reading I would just read like a lot of different things. And I was working and really stressed at my job. That's how I won awards, is I just was really stressed. And I was working as a travel agent, and I thought, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I made these people like millions of dollars this year, and I made myself like, $92,000 or something. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I think I fried my brain. So I just thought, okay, well, I can totally do this. And I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into. No idea of anything. Like, literally, anyone who's listening to this is better off than I was. Like, I had no idea what I was doing at that time. And even in the next 3 years, as I sort of tried to figure it out, I still didn't know anything about marketing or any of that stuff. And my first business was kind of a flop. I'm writing a post on how I still have it, but it's kind of died. And I watched it die, and that's fine. But it was towards the last probably year or so when I actually left the SEO company and started doing my own blog that I really thought, wow, this is important. I need to do what I want to do. And I think what I was going to say before is about choosing what you want to do is about personal responsibility. Like, at any time in my life, I am 100% responsible for my own life and all parts of my life. So, like, there's no time where I'm like, oh, well, I can't do this because my partner is blah, 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 or I can't do this because my family will be worried about me, or there's no time when I'm ever like that. I'm always 100% responsible for my own decisions.
Right.
And I think that's part of what kind of shook me out of how I was.
Gotcha. When you got into this entrepreneurial mentality. You did the travel thing, then you working for the SEO. You were actually working for an SEO company. Is that correct?
No, I had a friend who asked me to start it with him.
Oh, okay.
Neither of us knew anything about it, so we were kind of co-founders of this company. God knows why do that, but I'm glad we did because it's led me down the right way. So I wouldn't have ended up here if I hadn't have started it. So it's pretty cool. But I cannot tell you why we chose to do SEO.
Now, did you quit your job and just go balls to the wall, or were you working elsewhere at the same time? Like for example, Michael's read different books. He's gone on trips. He's read like the 4-Hour Workweek, which is a great book. I haven't read it, but I know it's good, so I support it. But that's led him to this path of, okay, I can have a self-sustaining lifestyle and live elsewhere. Did something like that spark this, or you just said, I want to start this business with my friend, bam, and then it led you down this path?
It's a little bit complicated because there are a lot of stages for me. So when I started, it was definitely balls to the wall when I started. I left the travel agency. Like I remember I carried the box of my stuff down the hill, and I was like, man, this is crazy. You know, I can now start my own business. So I'm going to do this beanbag thing. And then I decided to fly to China. I had about $3,000 saved up, and I spent $2,200 of it on flights to China.
Yeah.
And I came back and I had to get a bank loan because I, again, had no idea what I was doing. So I got this big loan out, which, P.S., I still have part of. I'm still paying it off. And so that was my first major error. But then I started this SEO thing because I was like, you can't spend full time on like a beanbag company, or at least I was only spending a couple of hours a week. And so I just started this SEO thing, and that's kind of, it sort of brought in a little bit of income, but it was almost like I was employed. Like I owned the company, but I kind of was still acting like an employee, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like I was like, oh, well, you know, the money will come in and we just I'd go out and do some sales and things. And I wasn't really taking charge of it because I had these co-founders. And so, yeah, since I've been doing it on my own, it really is like hustle or die, you know,
Yeah.
like I could be living out on the street if I don't pay my rent. So I make it work. And I've always made it work. I've never once been seriously in the shit.
Yeah, that I really like actually that point where you said hustle or die. Well, it's this idea when you force yourself to have to be successful, you know, you end up becoming successful at it, right? And I talked about this in other episodes. This, for me, it was jump without the rope was the mantra.
Yeah.
And it was because there was this part of me when I was deciding to quit my job, and part of me was saying, well, let's do the smarter thing, is just to take a leave of absence from work. You know, I can go try this out for a little bit, but I want to have that fallback option. Just make sure I have that just for my own safety. Well, I mean, there's nothing to lose, right? I can always just not go back to that job. So it's what it would be stupid not to have that safety net. And then the wiser part of my brain what gave me this message of no, jump without the rope.
Yeah.
And you really have to, sometimes you have to psychologically get yourself to a place where you have no choice but to succeed. And a human being we all as human beings are capable of so much. And when we are put up against that wall, the human being is going to use all that stored up creative energy and make it work. And and that's kind of that was an important step that I feel like I had to take. And I think probably many people can relate to that to some respect. It's just it's hard. Justin and I at one point, actually, we tried starting a business.
Yeah, we did.
On the side.
It's hard.
While we were, both working and
in other states and.
Yeah, and it was just very difficult. I had this idea for a very long time that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but it was this thought was, well, I'll keep working the job I have right now, and kind of build something on the side, and that way, once my business launches, then I can quit my job.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to really kind of understand, to start a business for real, that is your full-time job.
Full-time.
It's not something you do on the side. And it's not about, you have to let go of that safety net to a little bit.
Yeah. You need the fear to drive you. And I think fear is the largest motivating factor of people not going after something like this. The fear of failure, the fear of, I know the world as I experience it now, but I don't know what's going to happen if I make this jump. I'm scared of that. And
yeah,
Becky, if you can, I'm sure you can speak to the fears of jumping into a business like this. Have you talked to a lot of people about those types of feelings that they're going to go through?
I haven't really done a lot on that. I've read a lot about it, and that kind of, a lot of times when I read things online, because I've done so much reading, I feel like I have permission to feel that way. I'm like, oh, I'm allowed to feel like that. Okay. And then I just like keep on going. Like, I haven't really talked to a lot of people, but I definitely hear what you're saying. And I don't think, like I agree with, yeah, sometimes for me it's worked out really well. For you guys, it's worked out really well to just to go out and do it. And I feel like there'll always be people that disagree, but I think a lot of people will say, you can just start on the side slowly, which is possible. And it's definitely a safe way of doing it. I know lots of people who have started businesses just kind of slowly on the side. But what we're talking about is like living life on the edge, man.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a real like feeling of like achievement and being alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it's sort of like, I feel fear all the time. Of course, I'm a human being. There's things I still feel fear about a lot of things and worry about things, but it's sort of feel the fear and do it anyway. Have faith and confidence in your own abilities, your own creative potential, and in the universe, and to some extent, just have the faith that but really it's not about so much, it's not that it's going to just happen. Like, it's your own hard work and your own energy. Have faith in yourself more than anything else, that like, yeah, I can figure something out. Even if you don't know, like for you, Becky, right? You don't always know how to specifically do a certain thing, but you have the faith and confidence in yourself that you can figure it out. And you don't have to always know up front, like exactly how to do what you're going to do. You might have to be figuring things out, improvising as you go along. But believe in yourself that, yeah, actually, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. And I do have, like, I think it's important when you're doing that stuff, not just to be like, okay, I'm quitting and I'll do like whatever, like have a structure,
Yeah, you need a plan.
Right.
You need a precedent for some of that stuff. Like I have a structure of, I've got Odesk and I've got like people who I know, like I have a video guy and I have an app guy. I have like 3 app developers and I have like a WordPress guy. I have people that I can turn to for help, and
Right.
I have precedents for all this stuff. I know I'm good at sales because I've got sales like awards and stuff. So I know that stuff exists for me. If I didn't have any of that stuff and I had no resources, that would be a problem. But I created them for myself first. And so that's what I'm trying to create with my website and my platform is here are some resources so that you don't just sort of jump off the deep end into the deep end without any life jacket. Like, here's a life jacket. Here's a bunch of stuff that you can use to make, like, kind of to navigate the, like, hugely foggy, massively large area that is, internet marketing information and business information. Like, it's just ridiculous the amount of info that's out there.
Yeah.
And also the kinds of ways that there are to make money, like, even I'm like, whoa, I subscribe to everything I can just to learn about what's out there. And there are so many kinds of ways to make money that you probably wouldn't start because you're like, which one am I supposed to do?
Right. It's kind of like overwhelming. Is that we do live in this beautiful age where there's information is everywhere and there's infinite possibilities with the internet and all these things. So it presents opportunity, but also, yeah, it's kind of scary, overwhelming. Like, well, where do I start?
Well, I think what that results in is inertia, like people are like, oh, well, I don't know which one, so I'm not going to do anything because
So you get stuck in place.
Yeah, I'll think about that and then they never do it. So the important thing, like the most important thing, is to take some action, and that action, I think, the first piece of action should be creating a structure around, you know, like so that you can build on it, create your platform, choose your audience. Choosing your audience is part of creating a structure as well, you know, like just start learning and thinking.
Right. And that's for
Awesome.
anyone, yeah, for any business you need to identify those things. And
Yeah.
well, I you know, going through your site, you know, you talk about, you know, seeking out the, you know, welcome to an all new lifestyle. Welcome to, what do you want to do? And just listening to all the things that you mentioned over the past few minutes, I can think off the top of my head, you know, you can start to picture a lifestyle you want. And then what you've done and you made me think about is, like, I know all these people who have different skill sets. For example, Mike is very skilled at talking to people. He's very skilled at getting things done. He's very analytical. I have friends who are really good creative and who do film. Why can't I be a liaison between, you know, people I know meeting through improv who need a business partner, or somebody such as yourself I can connect them to for business advice, or I can connect somebody to somebody I know who does film editing, and then now I can help them make a video, throw a markup on it, and bam, I started a consulting business like Becky. Like, that's you just got my brain really working. You know, why can't you, the listener, start doing that? Like, why can't you? Like, go ahead.
Let me say something about that, because I love that you just said, why can't I, you know, insert thing here? Because realistically, Justin, you could say that about you could list 100 things.
Right.
If you wrote a list right now that you were like, dun, 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 I could do why can't I do this? Why can't I be this? Why can't I whatever? Right. There's so many options of things that you could do that it makes you go, no, I'm not going to deal with this right now. I'm going to just go and, like, you know, like, cook dinner or whatever you've got to
do. So then that's a great point. So then continue. How do I get beyond that? How do I dial it in?
Great. This is so great. This is like my favorite thing to talk about. So I read a quote the other day. I'm going to paraphrase it because I can't remember what it said, but it said, maybe the universe hasn't provided you with what you want because it's not clear on what you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
So,
bam.
Like,
that is great.
Isn't this amazing? So, like,
yeah.
All this stuff, and I'm exactly the same as you. I've got this list. I literally have a list of hundreds of things that I want to do, and I'm like, and it's not even a bucket list. It's like things that I literally couldn't achieve in my life if I tried all these things. So, what you want to do is, like, choose something and go with it. Like, that's all, you know. And then, because what we have as entrepreneurs, this feeling of, like, excitement, you know, you get the shakes, your palms get sweaty, you're like, oh, this is so great, you know, I'd love to do this. But then next week another thing's going to come along exactly like that, and what will happen is we'll die without doing any of them because we were so excited about each of them for like 7 days.
Right.
So
So
this is the biggest thing that I want to communicate, is that we can do any of those things. Absolutely. You could do any of the 100 things on that list. I have no doubt, and I don't think you really do either. The problem is in choosing which one we want to do and saying no to the rest of them.
Yeah.
Because like Louis C.K. he probably has tons of other stuff that he could have done, but he really went for comedy. You know, he was like, I'm going to be a comedian and I'm going to be the best fucking comedian in the, like, I'm going to do it, you know, and he really went for it, and he must have said no to a lot of other stuff.
Right. And you happen to choose one of my favorite comedians, by the way. So
yeah, Louis C.K. is amazing. He's just one of the best comedians out there. Period. I mean, and this ties into. Go ahead.
Of course, but maybe his joke from, I think it's Oh My God or something. Have you seen that bit? It's so good.
Which bit?
The of course, but maybe.
Oh yeah, I remember vaguely.
You need to listen to it again. It's my favorite bit.
Well, this, you got me thinking. All this stuff you're saying, it ties in a lot with some of the. I feel like it always comes back to improv for some reason in our show. Maybe because Justin and I both have an improv comedy background, but there's this thing about improv, right? When you walk into a scene, you need to establish and decide who you are. You don't want to be in a scene where you're like, hey, that there's a thing over there, and then the other person, oh yeah, it is, isn't it? And everyone's kind of, walking really gently around it and not ever saying what the thing is, because they're always waiting for someone else to, oh wait, what do you have? When what you want to do is declare, you want to say a declarative thing, not leave open, just establish it, decide what it is. And that's very much tying into what you've been saying. It's like that decision, decide what it is you want, and that, boom, establish it. And I've said on the show a few times this phrase, the universe provides, but I think what you said is really nails what that really means. It doesn't mean you get to just be lazy and the universe is going to make it happen. You have no responsibility. No, you have to take that personal responsibility and just make that decision, take that action. And I think once you do that, once you orient yourself in a way like, this is what I want, you are putting your mental conscious energy into, and your physical energy just to doing this goal. That's when it starts to come, the things that you need, you start to focus your mind on capturing those opportunities when they're around you. And in that way, the universe does provide, because you're open to capturing those things when they're there.
Yeah. On the same note, Mike, I think deciding what I love the improv reference, first of all, but I think in life, one of the hardest things to decide is what you want to do. I think that's the hardest thing. I think that's why some people get into ruts and they're not sure. My brother's a great example. He doesn't know what he wants to do. He's been in college for a while, has an idea. Oh, I think I want to be this, or I think I want to do this. I myself didn't know what the hell I wanted to do when I was 18. I went to school for engineering. You know how I chose what I wanted to do? I said, oh, robots are cool. I'd love to make a robot. I think I like engineering.
Is this from BattleBots or something?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah. Robots are cool. I think I want to make a robot. And then I said, okay, I'm going to be an engineer. And that's how I decided I wanted to do engineering. And I could have quit 20 fucking times, but I didn't. I said, I'm going to finish this degree, and I got a degree in engineering. And for people out there like Becky, you're doing it. You made the decision to make the leap towards being your own employer. And for those of you listeners out there, we can't tell you the answer, but just think of something that you enjoy doing and that
you can tell you the answer.
You tell
That's
yourself.
What it is. Listen to yourself.
I could talk to you hours. I've talked to career counselors. I've worked with a career counselor for like 4 years. I've read books. It's hard. You can do whatever you really want to do and figure out a way to make it work. And it's really how much you want it and just making the decision, honestly. And you do need to be smart about it, Becky. Like you said, you got to have a plan. You got to have a structure. Go ahead.
One thing that kind of made it a little bit, or another way of thinking about it that made it a little bit easier for me is like the problem I had initially, and I wrote to a few bloggers about this, like to figure it out, was, I don't know what to do. I don't know what my niche is. There's so many ideas, blah, 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 blah. How do I choose? And
one thing I thought is that you don't have, I'm scared of commitment. Like, probably most people.
Me too.
Can relate.
I have this huge fear of commitment. But it's the same, it's just your fear of commitment. That it doesn't, the fact that you can't choose anything right now doesn't mean anything about you or about the success of your future business or anything. It doesn't mean there's no meaning. I don't believe there's any inherent meaning in, life. But whatever, for the purposes of this argument, there's no meaning in the fact that you can't choose. So what you should do is just pick something and go with it. And one day you might go, you know what, I want to do something else.
Yeah.
Great, do that. You're not choosing something right now doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck doing it when you're 60. That's not the thing. Maybe you, the product that I'm doing, that I'm launching really soon is on like starting your own product, like starting a business through productization, and and one of the things that I talk about is like choosing something as a niche, like choosing a niche, choosing an audience, building a product, and then going, okay, look, that's built. Maybe it takes 6 months. That's a good amount of time for it to take.
Right.
It takes 6 months. Great, I'm finished, and it's bringing in money. What am I going to do now? Then you get to choose another thing. So just stick to something for 6 freaking months and make it work and finish the thing that you started. It doesn't have to be this lifelong quest. Just do something for a while until you've sort of solved it or finished the thing that you started, and then you can choose a new thing. Because there's no right way to do life. So like just pick whatever you want to do it for a while, and change it whenever you want.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I agree. I think finishing things is a hard thing for myself, and I'm sure a lot of people out there feel the same way. Just making a project that's interesting and compelling and saying there's an end date to this, it feels really good. That's a great feeling. And another thing is, I like that you said that I put my Justin Castle endorsement behind the Becky comment about, you don't have to be 60 and do the same freaking job. I just left a job where half the employees were there for, life. My parents told me that this is a great big eye-opening thing for me. When I called my parents one day, I was freaking out about work and what the hell I want to do with my life. I think it was like my quarter life crisis. And and I said, Mom, Dad, I don't know what the hell I want to do with my life, and I don't know what I want to do. And my parents said the same thing to me. They said, I don't know what I want to do tomorrow either. You think I want to keep working this job? You think I want to do all this stuff? I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't know what I want to do the next day, but I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'm enjoying it. I'm doing what I have to do to get along, and my parents are saying that, I want to try this. I want to go back and get another degree. I want to try all this other stuff. I don't want to work the same job for 30 years, and this is a way you can do it. This is a way you can really get into it by being your own boss and creating these little business projects.
Yeah. There's no point in like leaving a job to create another one. Like, I'm not about creating a job that's just another version of what you had before, because there's no point. But what you can do is create, like a system that brings you in an income that allows you to spend your days doing what you want. And if what you like, when I'm finished with my products that I'm building at the moment, I'm going to think of another product. Even if it's bringing me in $5,000 a month, I'm still going to think of more stuff. And not because I want more money, because actually I don't really care about, anyway. But it's more about like, what am I doing with my days? Like, what am I spending my days doing? I want to create something that makes a difference to other people.
Right. I agree. That's awesome.
Definitely.
Mr. Michael.
Well, let's ask you our question that we ask at the end of each episode.
It's kind of unfair because on her website she's got
but does she already have the answer?
She has 84 things. So we might have to adapt our question. Ask her anyway, and I'll come up with. I have a sub question. So go.
All right. Well, we usually ask, what's something you'd like to do in your life before you die? But you have 84 of them, I guess. So maybe what's your top one?
My top thing I want to do before I die. That's like really. This is even worse than you could have just asked me for like a random one.
Or a random one. That's fine too.
That's way better. Let me because there's 84 things on this list, man.
So you wait. You got to log on and look at your list.
Yep, I'm at it right now.
What's the first one that pops into your brain right now?
Swim with a whale shark.
I did that 2 days ago. Yes, it was amazing. So Koh Tao is the island in Thailand here that's most known for the scuba diving, but I'm on the north side of Koh Phangan right now. So actually, it's the same dive sites. There's a site called Sail Rock. Apparently, it's not a guarantee at all that you're going to see a whale shark. But I've had this in my mind. I saw a picture of that you could dive with whale sharks in Thailand, like when I was in Bangkok a month and a half ago, and I wanted to do it so badly. Got here, and they were like, yeah, maybe, maybe not. Oh my God, hit the jackpot. We were at Sail Rock and there's a whale shark. It was a baby one. It was small for a whale shark, but still big by any fish standards. It made my life, I think.
So cool. Oh, yeah, that's the first one that's on my list. They're not in any particular order, but that's definitely something that I want to do.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So you're coming to Thailand, right, in a few weeks?
Yeah, so hopefully, those are some good tips. So I might, I'm planning on Koh Phangan as well. So yeah, probably we'll hit that up. North side.
Yeah, Sail Rock is the dive site where you can see it. It's like I said though, it's not a guarantee.
Cool.
But I can tell you a place where it is a guarantee. If you Cebu in the Philippines, for sure it's like guaranteed you will swim with whale sharks. So if you fail to see them on Sail Rock here, you can go to the Philippines in Cebu and see them.
Sounds great.
That's awesome. Since you already had a list of 84, I feel like it's kind of cheating, and if anybody wants to go on her lifestyle ninjablog.com, you can see all of Becky's 84 things. Since you've already had this list preconceived, I just want to one of the things that you've already done that you really enjoyed on your list, your bucket list.
I've done that I really enjoyed. Well, it's such a good question. Okay, so I wrote getting paid for stand-up comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're getting paid for stand-up now.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yeah, so apparently I'm not shit.
That's awesome.
Yay. And so yeah, that's one of the things I really have loved, because it's something that I try and hack everything that I do, just to see if I can do it quicker than most people, and then I get to feel all like, woo, I did it faster. But I've been doing comedy for about 15 months.
Nice.
So I just started, I've only done about maybe 40 gigs. So I'm pretty impressed with but I'm in New Zealand, so maybe it's a little bit cushier over here. But I did just complete my first festival comedy show last month.
Wow.
Did you get to meet Flight of the Conchords?
They were not at the festival. I met Stephen K. Amos. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He was over here, and a few other celebrities that most people probably haven't heard of because they're in the New Zealand Comedy Festival. But yeah, that's something I always wanted to do, and I'm really happy with that. I'm really proud of myself.
That's awesome. Yeah, congrats. That's really cool.
That's awesome. Do you have a comedy link that you want to push, or you leave that private?
I have a Twitter account. It's comedy by Becky.
Sweet.
But yeah, I kind of am trying to focus more on online business kind of stuff now, and that's sort of more of a hobby.
Gotcha.
Sweet.
Cool.
And so the place that people can check that out is lifestyleninjablog.com.
Yeah. Actually, I was thinking, why don't I put I can't remember how you phrase the podcast. Is it Walking the Earth?
Yeah.
It's called Walking the Earth Podcast, and our website is wtepodcast.com.
Well, I want to put a link, I'll make a page just now, lifestyleninjablog.com/walking the earth.
Awesome.
All right.
No hyphens or whatever, and then I'll put my this new product that I'm building. I've just finished it. I said I was going to send it to you before the show, and what I'll do is I'll make it available for free for anyone. It's going to cost something eventually, but right now I've just finished the first beta version or whatever. So I'll give it to your readers, subscribers, etc., listeners, for free.
Awesome.
That's beautiful. Amazing.
Very cool.
Sweet. So lifestyleninjablog.com/walking the earth is where they'll find it.
Yes.
Wonderful.
All right. Amazing.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Becky. This actually, I'm learning a lot. I think I can pick your brain some more and learn a few thing or two more from you.
Yeah.
This is really good.
This has been great. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, I can't believe we've been on nearly an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks to all of our listeners who've listened in for the podcast. Thank you very much, Becky, for joining us from New Zealand.
Thanks, guys. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
For those of our listeners out there or new listeners, check us out at WT Podcast on Twitter or Facebook.com/Walking the Earth Podcast. Our new website is WTEpodcast.com. You can also get us on iTunes and Stitcher and SoundCloud. Again, this is Justin Castle signing out from New York. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time.